Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, home of RE/MAX World Headquarters. It's Adam Contos, CEO of RE/MAX, with Start With a Win. And
hey.
I see producer Mark. How you doing, buddy?
I am here. I'm doing great. Fantastic. So good, as I like to say.
I love it. I love it. Hey, are you focused right now, man?
I am hyper-focused. You know, when we got to push all these buttons, make sure things are recording and being captured, and you got to be on your ball, you know?
You're like flying the airplane right now. We don't want any mistakes in the cockpit, okay?
That's right. Yeah, there's no autopilot for me to take a nap.
Yeah, so, I mean, what do you think about that word focus?
I think it's something that a lot of people lack. And I think that here in 2022 that it's easy to lose focus with so much distraction that's going on between social media and Netflix and HBO Max and just all the different news outlets. Everything coming at us is trying to steal our focus.
So I have an idea. What do you say we do a podcast about how to stay focused?
I think that would be very beneficial. And anyone who's listening right now is probably focusing in on what we're about to say next.
Yeah. Okay, everybody listen up here. We're going to talk about how to focus. So, ready to get into this, Mark?
Let's do it.
All right. So, in the past, we've talked about focus before. I mean, I've used the acronym Follow One Course Until Success. You know, there's a whole bunch of other ones you can throw in there. But ultimately, what it comes down to is, and I want to kind of peel the onion here, if you will, because focus has several layers to it. And I want to talk about how to become more productive by becoming more focused, if you will. So let's dig into this. I want to start with just by saying, and I want to talk about both parts of this. Focus consists of essentially two things here. And we're going to talk about both of these things during this show. And those two things are willpower, and the second one is attention. So if you think about these two things, Mark, you've got willpower, which is our internal energy, okay? And we can have people steal our willpower from us. They can take it through criticism. You know, we can have some sort of a physical burden put on us. We can be distracted like crazy, things like that. I mean, all of these different things, you know, how do we wake up? Do we have a smile or a frown? How's our relationships? Are we nourished? Have we hydrated? Have we slept? Things like that. So you've got these determinant factors of the energy internally in willpower. And then, of course, the other one.
I've never thought about that, but as you're saying it's starting to make sense to me. And it's almost like, are we able to make a list of all the things that contribute to our willpower?
Yeah, you are, as a matter of fact.
It's like, all right, did I sleep really well last night? Am I getting exercise? Am I staying hydrated? Am I eating right? Am I connecting with the people that I love and care about my life? And those things equal more willpower.
Yeah, if the listeners sit down and actually figure out, okay, what do I look like when it comes to that? When you wake up in the morning, I mean, the first question is, do you feel rested? That determines a lot of that energy. And we have our circadian rhythms and how we sleep and how we're awake. And by the way, you're supposed to sleep when it's dark and you're supposed to be awake when it's light. Now, we also have you have ultradian rhythms, which is the cycles of energy throughout your day. So what we're talking about here is a combination of both of those things. One, did you get enough rest? Did you sleep? You can actually measure that, by the way.
With like an Apple Watch?
Well, an Apple Watch. I use this fun little Whoop band that I have on my wrist.
Oh, the Whoop band.
The Whoop.
Whoop. There it is.
It looks like an ankle bracelet, like I'm out on parole.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is I focus on that, and I am able to balance those things and say, okay, I know I need to stay away from eating processed sugar before I go to bed, or when's the last time during the day I can have a cup of coffee? It asks me those questions because I set it up to do that. And then I can look at my results, because what you can measure, you can manage. And now I'm measuring the things that impact my sleep. You want to get a good night's sleep. And a good night's sleep leads to a good morning energy level. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. My top focus levels are between 4:30 and 9:30 a.m. I want to get most of the heavy lifting out of the way between those times. I get up first thing in the morning. I take my vitamins, a lot of omegas and multivitamins and stuff like that. But I also have a bunch of MCT oil, which is a fat. And that goes into my brain, and it's food for your brain. And it helps me focus. So I get into, all right, wake up, drink a big glass of water, have this MCT oil, cup of coffee, things like that. I work for an hour, and then I go to the gym. And that hour before I go to the gym, I get a lot done because there's nothing on my brain yet. There's nothing confusing it, because your brain is like a clean glass of water in the morning. And as soon as you start adding things to it, it muddies it up and makes it dirty, dirty, dirty. You need to have a reset time where you rinse it out and put clean water in it again. That's my gym time. And then I come home and I work for several more hours. And I get work done before I go to the gym. I go to the gym and I learn things because I'll put on a podcast. And then I come home for a few hours and I'm creating. That's when I create the most, because that podcast stimulated my brain. The MCT oil, the fats and the things that I fed my brain give me all that willpower in the morning. I'm like, bam, I'm getting like 5 or 6 hours worth of work done in 2 or 3. So here's a good tip to figure out when that special window is. If you feel like you're burdened running around all day long and you're not getting anything done, you're not finding that window. You have to look for those times when you're going, where's my pad of paper? I need to write that idea down because it's going to go away. When those ideas are generating in your brain is like, let's go to work. But look for when those ultradian rhythms are, when you have that highest level of focus and you have that highest level of the willpower, because you're like, your brain's going bam, 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 and firing out those ideas. That's important. And when you can singularly sit down and work at your computer during those times, perfect. It's perfect. Don't spend the energy where you don't need to. Use it where you have it. So that's the first one, is, understand those ultradian rhythms, understand that willpower. Don't let anybody steal that willpower from you. Criticism, reading social media, emotional overload, things like that steals your willpower. Willpower is energy internally, and you only have so much of it. And you'll notice later on in the day, that's when people have arguments. That's when people drink alcohol. That's when people, walk into the pantry and start shoveling potato chips into their mouth, things like that. When you are out of willpower for the day, you have no energy to prevent you from being in these bad situations. So willpower is your energy. Let's talk about the second thing. The second thing is attention. Attention. This one we can control. Attention is also a learned habit, a learned skill. And you might start and go, I can only pay attention for like 8 seconds, like a goldfish. Okay, great. So we'll start with 8 seconds. So take that energy and pay attention to doing something. How do you pay attention to doing something? Get rid of everything else. Stop trying to, task switch, multitask, whatever you want to call it. The reality is figure out what you're going to work on and close all the rest of your browsers, your browser tabs, all the rest of the apps. Get all the electronics out of the way and work on that one thing. And put a timer to it. Take your phone, if you want to do something with your phone, and put it on stopwatch and then flip it over so you can't see how long. And then when you lose attention, flip it over and look at it and go, oh, I made it that long. Or write it down. Your goal is to beat that next time. Yeah, so really what you're trying to do is you're trying to combine that willpower, the energy, with the attention. And the combination of those two things together is focus. That's how you build focus, is by doing those two things. Ultimately, we try to destroy focus every day with ourselves by overcommitting ourselves, by always checking social media, by having a TV or music running in the background, something like that. If you're going to have something going, Baroque music, classical Baroque music is actually considered to be really good. If you just go on your podcast or your phone and music or Spotify or whatever it is and type in focus music. Typically it's Baroque. What you need is a beat pattern in your brain to keep things aligned. It's, in fact, with people that have ADHD, they're instructed to listen to these different types of music at these different rhythms in order to line up their attention, because it gets them to focus on things instead of being distracted, because your brain starts hitting on that rhythm and you end up focusing on your task. But once you start mixing all sorts of other stuff in the middle of that, then you end up losing that focus. So it's interesting. Everybody that listens to this today, this is a interesting concept of breaking down willpower and attention. And look at it that way. If you can take and break down willpower and attention and understand those different concepts in your life, did you get enough sleep? Did you get enough water? Did you get enough food? Minimize those heavy carbs during lunch. You got to have carbs during the day. Your body has to have fats, proteins, carbs, and water. So all of these things feed your ability to focus. Think about that next time you're wondering, why can't I focus anymore? It's super important. But ultimately, it has to do with your distractions, your happiness, your energy, your willpower, and your attention. So think about those things and put them into play and be more focused.
That's great. So if you could leave us with one takeaway of today's episode, what would be the first thing someone should focus on in order to improve their willpower and attention? One action.
One action. I would say write down how you feel first thing of the day and why. How do you feel and why? Is it because you didn't get enough rest? Okay, then get more rest. Is it because you didn't drink enough water? Then drink more water. You should drink a gallon of water a day. Is it because your nutrition is terrible? All right, get rid of anything that's in a box or processed. If it didn't grow or walk, don't eat it. And think about what's around you in your environment. Your environment has so much to do. So write all those things down, take a look at them, do a self-audit on it, and ask yourself, when am I most attentive? When's my ultradian rhythm giving me the most focus and energy? Maximize that time, exercise it like a muscle, and it will grow and be more focused.
Fantastic. Hey, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. If you're ready to create personal and business success, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and head over to wherever you get your books, where you like to order stuff, and get the Start With a Win podcast, the book. For more great content, you can go to startwithawin.com. And until next time, start with a win. All right.
That was fun.
Boom. That was fun.
Boom.
Adam, I have a question for you. Did you ever feel like you lacked focus in your life? And when was that? And what did you do in order to right the ship?
Yeah, I've been out of focus many times in my life. And typically it's when you feel overwhelmed. You feel like the world is coming down on you and you just don't have anywhere to go. You're frustrated, things of that nature. Because we revert to some of our, some of that, the stuff that's bad for us, our comfort zones, like eating bad food. We revert to not exercising. We revert to staying up late just to watch movies or play video games or something like that to take our mind off of stuff. And being successful, being focused takes effort. You have to recognize I'm not in a good place, and you have to consciously put yourself back into that place with the energy necessary to do so. And that's your willpower. You have to, even if it takes self-talk or it takes a coach or something like that, but you have to realize that the only way to get out of there is to realize you're in there and take action to do otherwise. You have to take the action. So, it's happened to me quite a few times during the Great Recession. It sucked. I was overwhelmed with worries every single day. One, am I going to have a job? Two, my customers are struggling and suffering, as is my business. How am I going to get out of this? You go to bed at night wondering, am I going to cry myself to sleep, or do I need to escape with one of the bad habits that I know exist out there.
Yeah.
No, you don't. The only way to get through it is to fight through it. And it will pass if you can survive the storm. That's the thing. Survive the storm. The only way to survive the storm is to learn from it. And if you focus on what you're learning every day, you walk away with a win instead of walking away feeling defeated.
Wow. I love that. It's really good. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us here on YouTube. If you haven't, remember, subscribe. If you liked this video, click that thumbs up icon and hit the bell icon so you get notified every single time we upload a new episode. And until next time, we'll see you when we see you.